the girl who was with me screamed and started cursing like I had never heard her react the way that she was reacting. And she grabbed me because I'm looking at all the stuff that's happening to my right. She grabs me and pulls me and she said, "Oh my God, what is this?" And over the, it's been I haven't done a testimony of Mike. I haven't done a testimony in a few months. So bear with me. It's sometimes when I have a delay and I speak of it, it blows my mind when I because over how soon us humans forget things, right? My 7-year anniversary of this incident was obviously this last October, 7 years, and took quite a few to get through the trauma. Still have the PTSD or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it's just interesting how I'm visualizing it right now because I'm thankful that I still can remember everything because it's so other. I mean, it's just an incredible story. So as we're going, she says, you know, "Oh my God," basically, look, and she grabs my shirt. I pull over. I look over her, and I see over the oil rigs cylinders. If you've ever had a hot tamale, the little red hot candies, I would say that that's what they were shaped like, and they were vertical, and they were huge, and they were stationary, and they were massive, and they all you could see was the shape of them, and they glowed like a light that I can only explain would be like a neon orange or a neon yellow. It was so brilliant and so bright that I it's almost hard to tell you how brilliantly bright these things were, and they were humongous. And there was one positioned over the oil rig, one position adjacent to it a little bit higher, and then there was one position adjacent to it a little bit lower. Once that happened, I started freaking out a lot because yeah, so
understandable. Yeah, wow.
I was freaking out a lot. My goal at this point was, what's going on, and I have to get somebody else to see what I'm seeing. That's all I could think was, I've got to get somebody. I mean, Dulce's here with me, and praise God, I have a witness through this whole thing. Because if I didn't, it would. I can only imagine how much more flack or how much more difficult it would be for people to believe this. So I'm so very thankful, but I wanted more. I wanted people to see what was going on.
Right.
So as we came up to the street that we needed to get off of PCH, there were no more. We had left those ships behind. The dish ships were gone. The big ones that this whole thing had started with were gone. Now it was just those sunlights that were everywhere. I mean, they didn't go anywhere. They just were everywhere. They were everywhere as far as you could see in the night sky. We pull off of Warner, we come up, and I tell her, pull over to the next gas station that you see. Because I'm going to go up and I'm going to grab people and I'm going to say, "Do you see what I'm seeing?" That's my goal. So
yeah.
She pulled it over at a gas.
I mean, you need confirmation from somebody. Yeah.
Confirmation. We need confirmation. We're not going insane.
Right.
Whatever's going on is crazy.
Wow.
So we end up, she pulls over to this first gas station, and there was a lady and her daughter. They were for some reason, the mother was pumping daughter. The daughter was there standing with her, and there were some other people. She parked the car. I went up to the mother and the daughter, and I said, "Excuse me, guys, just real quick question. Have you seen any of these lights in the sky tonight, these strange lights?" And when I did that, it's almost as if they looked up and they did see, and it was almost as if from the time that this whole thing started, it seemed like I was witnessing things, but everybody else were like, they were in a sleep mode. Like nobody was. I had to show people what was happening, and once they made contact with their eyes, then I could see that they were seeing them, and the girl was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, look!" And that was enough for me. I ran in the car. And she ended up continuing towards her house. So at this point, we're close to her home, and there was just before her place, there was a In-N-Out hamburger joint next to a gas station that had like an AM PM attached to it, so you could get things in there or what have you. So she was on empty at the time, and she was going to get gas. And as we pull into this last stop before we were going to get to her place, I look over and there's a line to go in the in and out, and there's a cop car. And I had to talk to the police officer. I had to let him know. I had to let him know what was going on. I had to let
that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to freak anybody out, and I was extremely excited. I had to control myself to wind myself down because I'm a salesman. I didn't want to. I needed to compose myself before addressing the police officer.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what I did. And as he's in line with these cars, and the gas station and the burger joint they're right next to each other. So I walked over. She ended up walking over with me, and I said, "Listen, I'm going to let him know what's going on." So he's in line, and his passenger window's down, and there's cars. I think he was the last car in line. There were some cars in front of him as he was waiting. I slowly went up to the police car, and I said, "Excuse me, officer, real quick. I have a question for you. Can I talk to you?" And he looked down, and he said, "Come this way." He says, "Come here." So we both come up, and I said, "Listen, I need to let you know that I just picked up my friend here in Newport Beach. We drove about 13 miles up here to Westminster, 13, 15 miles, whatever it is. And we experienced a bunch of these, these ships and these lights. In fact, there's some, so as I'm talking to him and I'm staying kind of distant from the cop car, I can see that one of these sunlights is coming slowly towards us. So I was thankful because I just needed, it would give me some validation for him to see it. So I said, "Hey, this is what's going on. I'm not on drugs. This is my friend. I've got 3 kids. I've got a wife. I work as a mortgage banker. You can check my credentials. I'm not an ex-con.
Right.
I got nothing going on. I just need to let you know what's going on." So he says, "Come here a little closer." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "You need to calm down." So obviously, as composed as I was, I obviously wasn't, I obviously was very excited. So he brought me closer to the passenger window. And he said, "I've got a couple calls tonight about something, but, I'm not really sure what you're talking about." As if he justified it vaguely, but then said, "I'm not sure what you're talking about." So at that moment I said, "Well, officer," I said, "one of these lights is right over your head. If you just turn your head to the left, I'll back away from the squad car, and you look up, there's one right here. Will you please do that?" The moment I challenged him to do that, he would not turn around. Then he said, "Come here closer." And he said, I don't want you to say anything more about this right now. And I want you and your girlfriend to get in your car. Where do you live? And I said, she lives about a mile down the street. And he said, "Okay, I want you to get in the car, and I want you to go home, and I don't want you to talk to anybody else about this tonight. Does that make sense?" And I looked at him and I said, what do you mean, does that make sense? I said, "I'm asking, I need some help here. I'm having this is
Well,
insane."
I'm lost.
Exactly. So, when that happened, a couple things. I was shocked. I knew that he knew what was going on because he wouldn't look to his left. He wouldn't look at where I needed him to look. All he did was turn his head, and he would not turn his head. And when he threatened to take us or have somebody come out, and because that was the threat, it was after he told us to get in the car and not speak of it again and to go home, he reiterated the fact. I challenged him a bit and said, "What are you talking about? I need your help right now." And he said, "Listen, I'm not going to ask you again. If I have to ask you again, I'm going to have somebody come out here and take you guys. Get in your cars and leave." So that's what we did. I'll never forget that. As that was just a horrible thing to happen when you're going through something like that, and you're really looking for. You look to your people as in authority as someone that might be able to help you, and even then there was no help available. So it was just
that has to be part of the playbook. That has to be part of the playbook, because when people have a playbook design and say, if this happens, you have to respond this way regardless.
That's what I thought. I thought to myself, well, this is compartmentalized now. I know if he knows what's going on and he's a beat cop, then what do if he's been, I mean, knowing that the police officer knew what was going on, that's a scary proposition.
Yes, it is.
That's a really scary proposition. So, continue here.